Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
In the quiet of the cosmos, where galaxies drift apart and stars burn in their distant corners, there lies a strange truth that unsettles the idea of nothingness. We imagine emptiness as a hollow, a silence, a gap where nothing at all exists. Yet in the world of physics, in the soft, trembling fabric of quantum reality, emptiness is never empty. The vacuum, that quiet sea we thought was bare, is alive with whispers. It shimmers with invisible fluctuations, brief sparks of being that rise and fade before the mind can hold them. Like the hush between breaths, the quantum vacuum hums, unseen and untouchable, yet woven into the very shape of existence. Imagine drifting into deep space, far from planets, far from light, far from sound. You expect only darkness and eternal pause, yet even here in this seeming nothingness there is motion. Fields ripple, particles flicker into existence only to vanish, borrowing time from uncertainty itself. This is not emptiness but a restless stage, a place where silence is full of murmurs too faint for the senses. Scientists call it quantum fluctuation, but it feels like the soft heartbeat of the void, steady and endless, carrying the echo of creation. The story of the vacuum begins with curiosity, as all stories of science do. When physicists first began to probe the smallest scales, they expected to find a simple nothing. Remove the atoms, strip away the molecules, take out the light, and surely a perfect void remains. But experiments whispered otherwise. Forces lingered, interactions danced, invisible energies pressed against metal plates and tugged them ever so gently. The emptiness was not empty at all. It pressed back, as though the void itself had substance, as though absence was another kind of presence. Consider the image of a still lake. To the eye, its surface seems calm, serene, unmoving. Yet beneath, unseen currents swirl. So it is with the vacuum. On scales too small for sight, pairs of particles bloom into existence, opposites entangled, partners in fleeting life. A particle and its mirror twin appearing together, canceling one another out, yet for a moment they are there. Like ripples rising on the skin of still water, the vacuum stirs with these ephemeral forms. It is a lake that cannot be drained, a silence that cannot be emptied. The uncertainty principle, that strange rule at the heart of quantum physics, allows this ceaseless flicker. Energy and time, like secret companions, cannot both be pinned down with certainty. For a short enough breath of time, energy may appear where there was none, creating a spark in the darkness before dissolving again. This is not a violation of law, but an expression of it, as if the rules of the universe themselves allow small exceptions, brief dreams of matter arising from sleep. The vacuum is thus never static. It trembles, restless with possibility, forever near the edge of becoming. In laboratories, scientists found subtle ways to listen to this whisper. The Casimir effect, a quiet marvel, revealed itself when two plates were placed close together in emptiness. No particles, no forces were expected to interfere, and yet the plates drew together, nudged by the unseen energy of the vacuum itself. It was as if the void carried hands, invisible and gentle, pressing objects toward one another. What we call nothing was filled with pressure, a soft insistence that space itself has weight, that the absence of matter is still full of presence. The vacuum is not only a stage for fleeting sparks, but the very foundation of reality's play. Every particle, every beam of light, every atom rests upon its quiet hum. Without the restless fluctuations of emptiness, the world of form would have no place to stand. It is like soil beneath a forest, unseen yet essential. You do not notice the ground when you look at trees, and yet without it they cannot rise. So too with the vacuum, unnoticed, silent, yet nurturing the entire existence of stars, planets, and life itself. Let us drift deeper. Think of a candle flame trembling with light. What seems like a simple glow is in truth a chorus of atoms colliding and releasing energy. and each of those atoms in turn rests upon the deeper foundation of quantum fields. The flame cannot burn without them, nor can the atoms within you, nor the light in the sky. The vacuum, then, is not an emptiness behind the world. It is the unseen ground upon which the dance of being unfolds. To call it nothing is to mistake its quietness for absence. It is full of secrets, full of whispers, full of ceaseless creation. In the gentle span of the cosmos, where billions of years pass like sighs, the quantum vacuum continues its patient murmur. It is thought that even the fabric of spacetime itself is touched by these fluctuations, expanding and curving under their quiet insistence. Some wonder if the birth of the universe itself, that first great unfolding, might have been stirred by the restless hum of emptiness. From silence into light, from void into stars, from nothing into everything. The vacuum does not merely sit between things, it may have been the cradle of all things. You can almost imagine the universe as a loom weaving threads of reality upon the warp and weft of the vacuum. Each particle, each photon, a knot tied upon invisible threads. Pull away the knots and the threads remain, stretching endlessly, humming softly. To look into nothingness is to see the loom itself, the hidden structure shimmering with potential. And though our eyes cannot see it, our equations and experiments trace its presence, revealing that the quietest places are never truly quiet. Close your eyes and picture the night sky. The stars shine, but between them lies a darkness so vast it humbles the mind. That darkness is not emptiness, but fullness beyond measure. Within every stretch of that blackness, pairs of particles appear and dissolve, waves ripple unseen, and energy flickers like the faintest breath. Nothingness itself is restless, alive with what might be, what once was, what could yet come. The silence is singing, softly, endlessly, patiently. And so we return to the whisper of empty space, gentle and eternal. It is a reminder that nothingness is never barren, that silence is full of song, that even in the absence of matter there lies a richness deeper than form. We live in a universe not built upon emptiness, but upon a foundation of quiet abundance. To rest in the thought of the quantum vacuum is to rest in the knowledge that there is always more than what we see. Behind the silence, the whispers remain. Behind the void, creation stirs. The vacuum breathes, and with its breath, everything becomes. The whisper of empty space is only the beginning. To step further into the mystery of the quantum vacuum is to recognize that it connects to everything we know, from the smallest quiver of particles to the vast breadth of the cosmos itself. It is not simply a backdrop, not just the stage upon which physics performs. It is an actor, subtle yet essential, influencing forces, shaping energy, and even guiding the evolution of the universe. What was once thought to be absence turns out to be the most fertile presence of all. It is a sea beneath the sea, a current beneath the visible flow of reality, and in drifting through it, we begin to glimpse the hidden architecture of existence. Consider how light travels through space. To us, it seems effortless, a beam crossing darkness without resistance. But light is not moving through emptiness, it is moving through the quantum fields that fill the vacuum. Photons, the quanta of light, are ripples in one of these fields. They are like notes in a song, carried by the unseen instrument of the vacuum itself. Every flash of lightning, every glimmer of a star, every spark in your nervous system arises from this silent sea. Without it, the universe would be mute, stripped of color, stripped of motion. The vacuum is not passive. It allows the music of light to be played. And light is only the beginning. Electrons, protons, neutrinos, all the particles that make up the richness of matter, are born from and embedded within quantum fields. These fields, invisible yet fundamental, stretch everywhere, even into the darkest corners of space. The vacuum is alive with them, like a meadow dense with grasses too fine for the eye to see. When wind passes, the meadow bends and sways. So too the vacuum bends when particles rise, when forces interact, when the cosmos breathes. To imagine the vacuum as empty is like staring at the meadow in winter, believing it barren, not knowing the roots beneath sleep in readiness for spring. The strange truth is that this restless emptiness carries energy, a subtle reservoir that permeates space. Physicists call it vacuum energy, and its quiet presence has far-reaching consequences. It may be the reason the universe is expanding, the reason galaxies rush away from one another as though driven by a hidden wind. This mysterious acceleration, called dark energy, may be nothing more than the whisper of the vacuum itself, stretched across the heavens, urging space to grow. If this is so, then the most profound force shaping the fate of the cosmos comes not from stars or black holes, but from the invisible energy of nothingness. Now imagine standing in a great forest. Around you, trees rise, birds sing, streams run their courses. Yet beneath all this life lies soil, humble, silent, unseen, yet carrying the nutrients that make the forest possible. The vacuum is like this soil, invisible but sustaining. It cradles the forces of the universe. It shapes how particles interact. It steadies the balance of creation. Just as the forest cannot be without its ground, the cosmos cannot exist without its vacuum. And yet, unlike soil, the vacuum cannot be exhausted. It is not diminished when the universe grows. It remains eternal, humming softly beneath all. The quantum fields theory, the FR, aimwork that reveals these truths, shows us that every particle is an excitation of its field, a ripple in the vacuum's stillness. Matter itself, then, is nothing but the vacuum stirred into form. When we touch the solidness of a stone, we are touching the vacuum expressed as density, as structure, as firmness. When we drink water, we sip the vacuum shaped into molecules that flow and glisten. Even the body you inhabit is a sculpture of vacuum fluctuations made steady by bonds and forces. What we call something is, at its root, the restless nothing captured for a time. To dwell on this is to feel a quiet awe. The air you breathe, the ground beneath you, the light in your eyes, all are born of fluctuations too subtle to see, yet strong enough to hold a universe together. Each heartbeat is a testament to the vacuum's creative restlessness. The boundary between something and nothing dissolves. Every form is a ripple, every presence a pause in a deeper absence. The vacuum is not a void, but a womb, holding within it the potential for endless creation. Let us drift further into its subtleties. Scientists have found that the vacuum is never uniform. Place an object in its midst and the fluctuations shift like a breeze curling around a stone. Space bends its whisper in response to presence, creating forces nudging matter. This is why the Casimir effect happens, why plates are drawn together. It is as if the vacuum notices, as if it adjusts itself, as if nothing itself responds to something. In this way, the vacuum is not static but relational. It does not sit apart from the universe but engages with it, shaping and being shaped. Some even whisper of vacuum decay, a soft but unsettling thought. Perhaps the vacuum we know is not the deepest possible state. Perhaps there lies beneath it an even quieter silence, an even fuller emptiness waiting. If so, the universe itself could one day transform, collapsing into a truer vacuum, rewriting the laws of nature in a single sweeping shift. Yet such ideas, though haunting, are not reasons for fear. They are reminders of how mysterious this foundation remains, how much we do not yet understand. For now, the vacuum holds us steady, carries us through time, sustains our breath and our stars. What is striking is how this scientific picture echoes ancient intuitions. For centuries, mystics and poets have spoken of the fertile void, of the nothing that births everything, of silence as the source of all music. Quantum physics, in its strange equations, seems to affirm these whispers. The vacuum is indeed a silence that sings, a void that creates, an emptiness brimming with presence. In its fluctuations, we find both mystery and resonance, as though science has placed numbers upon an ancient dream. You can almost feel it if you pause. In the space between thoughts, in the quiet of midnight, in the stillness when breath slows, there behind perception lies something vast, something steady, something alive. The vacuum is not out there only in galaxies far away. It is here within you, around you, filling every space between atoms. The nothingness you do not see is holding you, supporting you, breathing with you. To listen to it is to hear the background hum of being itself. Thus the whisper of empty space deepens. It is not only a whisper but a song, weaving through physics and philosophy, carrying science into wonder. It reveals that the world is not built upon solid foundations, but upon restless emptiness, fertile and infinite. From this hum rises the substance of life, the heat of stars, the flowing of rivers, the dreams of minds. To study it is to study the root of all that is. To rest in it is to feel the calm of knowing that even in the stillness, the universe is alive. Even in silence, there is music. Even in nothing, there is everything. The journey into the whisper of empty space now turns toward closure, a gentle settling of thought upon the horizon of wonder. We have drifted through the unseen hum of the vacuum, through the restless dance of particles that flicker into being, through the subtle fields that cradle light and matter alike. Now we pause at the edge of reflection, asking not only what the vacuum is but what it means. For science does not merely describe reality, it deepens our sense of belonging within it. To contemplate the vacuum is to contemplate the quiet foundation of our own existence, the breath beneath breath, the silence beneath song. Imagine yourself lying beneath the stars, their faint light scattered across the velvet sky. Between those points of brightness stretches a darkness that seems endless. Yet within that darkness unseen, the vacuum hums with activity. Pairs of particles are born and erased, fields ripple faintly, energy pulses like a hidden tide. The void above you, the very space your eyes rest upon, is a sea of becoming. You are gazing not into nothing, but into the fertile womb of creation itself. And to know this is to feel the say. Osmos differently. Emptiness is no longer absence but presence, no longer void but fullness, no longer silence but whisper. And in this realization lies a kind of comfort, for so often we fear emptiness. The gaps in our lives, the spaces between moments, the silence between words, these we resist, filling them with noise, with motion, with distraction. Yet physics tells us that emptiness is not barren. Even the most hollow place is rich with potential, alive with unseen currents. The vacuum teaches us that silence is fertile, that pauses carry hidden music, that absence itself sustains presence. It invites us to rest in stillness, to see it not as nothing but as everything waiting to bloom. The story of the universe itself is entwined with this whisper. Cosmologists believe that the first moments of creation, the great expansion we call the Big Bang, may have been stirred by fluctuations in the vacuum. From silence, energy surged, from the void, form unfolded. The galaxies that now drift apart like seeds on wind were once tiny ripples in the quantum sea. The stars that shine above you tonight are the flowering of vacuum fluctuations stretched across time. The entire visible cosmos may be but a frozen echo of the vacuum's earliest song. To look at the universe is, in some sense, to look at the vacuum expressed in light. And this connection continues even now. The mysterious acceleration of cosmic expansion, attributed to dark energy, may be the whisper of the vacuum stretched to cosmic scale. If so, the ultimate fate of the universe is written in its restlessness. Galaxies will drift farther, stars will fade, and yet the vacuum will remain, humming, expanding, carrying creation into vastness beyond measure. In this perspective, the vacuum is not merely the foundation of now, but the author of tomorrow, holding the destiny of time within its silence. Let us drift inward again, away from the sweep of galaxies to the closeness of our own bodies. Within each atom, fields shimmer. Within each proton, restless quarks are bound by invisible forces. These forces, too, rest upon the vacuum. Even your thoughts, fragile sparks of electrochemical motion, are carried upon fields that ripple within nothingness. The vacuum is not far away. It is here, intimate, sustaining you in every breath. You are a child of the vacuum, sculpted by its fluctuations, shaped by its energy. To know this is to feel yourself not separate from the cosmos but continuous with it, woven into its quiet hum. The vacuum also offers a paradox, one that humbles the human mind. Our equations predict its energy to be vast, almost infinite, and yet the universe reveals only a gentle acceleration. There is a mystery here, a gap between thought and reality, a silence that science has yet to fill. Perhaps the vacuum holds secrets beyond our grasp, layers of depth not yet revealed. Perhaps our understanding, like our vision, sees only the surface of a deeper sea. And yet this is not cause for despair. It is cause for wonder. Mystery is not the enemy of knowledge, but its companion, reminding us that reality is always richer than our imagining. In the softness of night, you can almost sense it, the hum beneath being, the silence that is never silent. The vacuum is not an idea to be solved, but a presence to be felt, a gentle truth that everything arises from nothing, that emptiness is alive. It is a lesson whispered not only in equations, but in experience if we pause long enough to listen. In the gap between heartbeats, in the stillness of breath, in the dark sky above, the vacuum is speaking. It tells us nothing is never nothing. Within silence lies song, within void lies creation, within absence lies the seed of all presence. As we bring this story to its close, let us rest in its quiet resonance. The whisper of empty space is not a tale of cold physics, but a hymn to the hidden fullness of being. It reminds us that the world is not built upon solidity, but upon restlessness, upon fertile absence, upon invisible song. It reassures us that we are not alone in silence, that even the deepest void hums with life. It invites us to see emptiness not as a threat, but as a promise, a cradle holding the possibility of everything. And so the vacuum, quiet and eternal, becomes not a void to fear, but a mystery to cherish, a lullaby that carries the universe forward, softly, endlessly, forever. In the tender quiet of the cosmos, there is a place where silence does not stay still. It is the realm where particles are born not from matter but from absence, as though existence itself emerges from the hush between breaths. This is the strange poetry of quantum reality, where the boundary between nothing and something blurs, and where the universe reveals its most delicate secret. Particles can rise from silence, and silence is never truly silent. To dwell here is to listen to a music too soft for ears, to witness a dance too quick for eyes, a ballet of becoming that unfold. Less in the fabric of the void. We often imagine particles as tiny marbles, solid specks that make up the stuff of the world. Yet the deeper physics looks, the less solid they appear. They are ripples in invisible fields, excitations of energy, brief disturbances that mark the presence of being. And even more wondrous is the fact that these ripples can arise spontaneously, without cause, without warning, as if silence itself has given birth. From the vacuum, from what we call nothing, particles and their opposites appear for a fleeting moment. They are called virtual particles, a name that captures their ghostly existence, their refusal to linger. They rise, they vanish, they leave traces, but they never rest. They are like sparks on water, glittering only long enough to remind you that the surface is alive. This phenomenon is not imagination. It is stitched into the mathematics of quantum field theory and revealed in experiments that quietly confirm it. Place two plates in a vacuum and they are drawn together by the pressure of particles rising and fading in silence. Observe the forces between atoms and you glimpse the invisible hand of fluctuations shaping them. The virtual particles are everywhere, filling every corner of space, yet they cannot be caught. They live in the space between certainty and uncertainty, between being and not being. They are the whispers of silence, the murmurs of emptiness, the gentle pulse of potential. Think of silence not as absence, but as a field of possibility. Imagine a meadow before dawn, the air still, the grass unmoving. To the eye, nothing stirs. Yet within the soil, roots press outward, dew gathers, seeds dream of sprouting. The quiet is not empty, it is waiting. The vacuum is like this meadow, and virtual particles are its first birdsong, its first shimmer of light. They remind us that what appears empty may be alive with hidden becoming, that what seems still may be trembling with possibility. The universe itself is a meadow of silence, and from it, particles rise like dawn. The presence of these ghostly particles is not just a curiosity. They shape reality itself. Their restless appearances influence how atoms behave, how light travels, how forces hold matter together. The hydrogen atom, simplest of all, is subtly altered by the dance of virtual particles. Without them, the spectrum of light it emits would not match what we observe. Their whispers echo through the structure of matter, reminding us that silence itself is a participant in creation. Without the flicker of virtual particles, the world would not be as it is. The silence would be too still, the cosmos too empty, the fabric too brittle to hold. And in the most profound moments, these fleeting presences can become real. In the presence of a strong field or at the edge of a black hole, virtual particles are torn apart, their ghostly existence made solid. One particle escapes, the other falls, and thus the black hole shines with radiation. This is Hawking radiation, the song of silence turned visible at the edge of darkness. It is a reminder that what we call nothing is not powerless. It can give rise to something tangible, something radiant, something that reshapes the universe. Even black holes, once thought eternal prisons, cannot escape the whisper of silence. The story deepens further. In particle accelerators, where energies soar and fields tremble, particles are born as if from nothing, conjured by the intensity of motion and force. What seems like empty space becomes crowded with new forms. The silence opens, and from it steps presence, measurable, observable, undeniable. Physics here tells us a profound truth. Emptiness is never absolute. It is a canvas always ready to be painted upon, a stage always ready to host a play. The vacuum is pregnant with possibility, and under the right conditions, it gives birth to matter itself. Drift deeper into reflection, and the metaphor grows more tender. Silence in human life is often feared. We resist it, filling it with words and noise as though afraid of its depth. Yet in silence, thoughts are born. In stillness, creativity arises. Just as the quantum vacuum is never truly empty, our own quiet is never barren. It carries the seeds of insight, the sparks of imagination, the gentle birth of new understanding. To sit with silence is to sit with possibility, just as the cosmos itself does. From stillness, things are born. From silence, everything begins. And so the particles born from silence are not only a scientific truth, but also a soft reflection of life itself. They tell us that absence is never lifeless, that what we cannot see still matters, that what we call nothing is full of everything waiting. They invite us to imagine the universe not as a solid, finished thing, but as an unfolding story, written line by line in the tremor of the vacuum, in the whispers of silence. Every atom in your body, every particle of light you see, every breath you take, owes its existence to this quiet, invisible dance. From silence you are born, from silence the universe breathes. Let us rest here in this thought, carried gently by the hum of unseen creation. The silence between stars is alive. The vacuum within atoms is alive. The emptiness that surrounds us is alive. And within it, particles bloom like flowers, rise like dawn, vanish like sparks on water, reminding us always that silence is the root of song, that nothing is the mother of everything, that the void is never void. To drift in this knowledge is to feel the universe as a lullaby, soft, eternal, and endlessly full. To understand more deeply how particles are born from silence, we must step gently into the heart of the vacuum itself, where fluctuations stir and possibilities bloom. The vacuum is not an empty backdrop. It is a restless ocean where quantum fields shimmer with potential. Within this ocean, pairs of particles arise like tiny waves, meeting, colliding, and dissolving back into the stillness from which they came. These fleeting forms are not illusions. They leave their marks on the world, subtle signatures that prove silence is alive. The more we listen, the more we discover that absence is not stillness but a living, breathing current beneath the skin of the cosmos. Physicists call these fleeting births virtual particles. The name suggests unreality, yet their influence is woven into the fabric of reality itself. They shift the energies of atoms, adjust the pull of forces, and alter the paths of light. Even though we cannot capture them, we feel their presence in the smallest measurements, in the gentle nudges of forces that would not exist without them. The hydrogen atom's energy levels, for instance, would not align with what we see in experiments without accounting for the restless dance of virtual particles. Silence, it seems, is not silent at all. It is a chorus of voices too soft for ears, too quick for eyes, yet loud enough to shape existence. Imagine standing at the shore of a great sea at night. To the eye, the waters seem calm, dark, unbroken. But as your feet sink into the sand, you feel the tug of waves, the pulse of hidden currents. The vacuum is like that unseen tide. It pulls and presses, always moving, always alive. When two plates are placed close in emptiness, the Casimir effect reveals the pressure of virtual particles pressing them together. It is a gentle proof that silence is never still. Even when nothing is placed between them, something moves. The vacuum's invisible breath pushes matter, reminding us that emptiness is full of motion. In the presence of immense energy, these ghostly appearances can solidify. Virtual particles become real, stepping from silence into form. At the edge of black holes, for instance, the gravitational pull divides these pairs. One falls inward, the other escapes, glowing as Hawking radiation. What was once silent becomes song. What was once invisible becomes light. Even the darkest objects in the universe cannot escape the whisper of silence. They shine, slowly fading, dissolving into the vacuum that once fed them. This process is not just physics, it is poetry. Black holes born of collapse and silence are undone by the very silence that birthed them. The vacuum's power does not stop at black holes. In particle accelerators, immense energies ripple through fields, stirring the vacuum into birthing real particles. The emptiness bursts into activity, matter spilling forth in showers of new forms. What was silent becomes crowded, full of presence, a living reminder that the universe is a canvas of possibility. Each experiment confirms what theory has long whispered. The vacuum is fertile ground, and silence is a seedbed for creation. The universe itself began in such a moment, when silence cracked open and light poured forth, when particles emerged from nothing and wove themselves into stars and galaxies. This truth stretches beyond physics and into reflection. The vacuum's fertile silence echoes the rhythms of life. In our own quiet, new thoughts emerge, new insights bloom. Silence in a conversation can feel heavy, yet from it the truest words arise. Stillness in a day can feel empty, yet within it creativity stirs. The quantum vacuum is a mirror of this truth. It shows us that emptiness is never empty, that quietness is not lack but potential. Every pause holds the power of becoming. Every silence is a womb. Every nothing carries the seed of something waiting to bloom. And so we learn to see the vacuum not as void but as ground. It is the soil of reality, nourishing matter, nurturing light. Particles born from silence are its blossoms, fragile yet endless, rising and fading, weaving the cosmos into form. We are part of this weaving. The atoms of our bodies were once particles flickering from the vacuum, stabilized by forces, gathered into stars, forged into elements, and carried across time. To reflect on this is to recognize that we too are born from silence, our existence rooted in the restless hum of nothingness. Silence does not surround us, it sustains us. The mystery deepens when we consider that the vacuum may carry layers of silence, levels of restfulness more profound than what we know. Perhaps what we call emptiness is not the ultimate quiet, but only the surface of deeper stillness. Some physicists wonder if a true vacuum exists, more stable than our own. If so, our universe may be temporary, a bubble floating upon deeper silence. One day, it might dissolve into a more profound state. This idea is unsettling, yet also beautiful, for it reminds us of the infinite depth of silence, the endless potential hidden within nothingness. Our universe itself may be just one song in the endless music of the void. What is certain is that silence is never meaningless. The particles born from it are proof. They reveal that the universe is not a static machine but a living story, always unfolding, always creating. The vacuum is its author, silence its ink, particles its words. To witness them is to glimpse the writing of reality, the script of creation written upon the softest page. From silence come atoms, from atoms come stars, from stars come life, and from life comes thought. And even thought itself, delicate as it is, arises from the fields of silence within our brains, neurons firing upon a background of quantum whispers. As we drift to the close of this section, let us rest in the gentle truth that silence is not to be feared. It is to be cherished, for within it lies everything. The vacuum teaches us patience, the value of pause, the richness of stillness. From it, particles are born. From it, universes rise. From it, we exist. Silence, then, is not the end, but the beginning. To listen to it is to hear the birth of stars. To rest in it is to feel the presence of all that is yet to come. And in its quiet hum, we find not emptiness but eternity, not absence but abundance, not nothing but everything. There is a calm that settles in the heart when we begin to understand that even the quietest parts of the universe are never truly empty. To know that particles can be born from silence is to know that stillness holds the heartbeat of all things. And as we come gently to the end of this story, we find ourselves not in conclusion, but in continuation. For the vacuum does not stop breathing, its fluctuations do not cease. The rise and fall of virtual particles, the soft blooming of being from non-being, continues without pause, without noise, without rest. It is the lullaby of the universe, humming beneath all form. In this endless lullaby, every particle becomes a note, every force a rhythm, every field a strand in the melody. The song is quiet, inaudible to our ears, but it is everywhere. You feel it not with hearing, but with knowing. You sense it in the way atoms align to form molecules, in the way those molecules spiral into DNA, in the way that spiral builds the shape of you. The silence from which particles emerge is the same silence that once gave rise to stars, and later to cells, and later to thoughts. The vacuum hums, and in its hum, everything finds form. Even now, your body is a story written by silence. Each breath you take carries oxygen atoms forged in stars, yet those atoms began as particles flickering out of a quiet vacuum. Your bones, your blood, your memories, all are echoes of creation that began in the stillness. The protons in your cells were once assembled from quarks, their behavior guided by quantum fields, their presence made real by the energies hidden in what seemed like nothing. The particles born from silence are not relics of the past. They are present in you, in every moment, in every heartbeat, in every spark behind your eyes. And so the vacuum is not far, it is not distant, it is not some cold expanse in the sky. It is here, it is within, it is around. You move through it as fish move through water, as birds move through wind. Invisible, yes, but vital. The quantum fields that allow particles to rise from silence are everywhere. They carry you, cradle you, compose you. The stillness of the vacuum is not absence, it is support. It is the soft net that holds all things, that catches the falling, that lifts the rising, that gives to each form its chance to be. The story of particles rising from silence is not merely a tale of physics, it is a reflection of the deeper patterns of nature and of ourselves. We are born from silence, too. We begin in a womb of stillness. The first moment of life begins not with noise, but with quiet formation, with cells dividing in silence, with hearts beginning to pulse in darkness. Just as the vacuum births particles, the quiet spaces in life birth change, transformation, newness. What we call nothing is never nothing. It is always the beginning of something else. And when we return to silence, when our voices grow still, when our breath slows, when our lives fold back, into the earth we do not vanish, we return to the sea from which all things rise. Our particles rejoin the fields, our atoms scatter into sky and soil and time. We become part of the vacuum's song again. Nothing is lost. The silence does not forget. It remembers everything, carries everything, becomes everything. We do not end, we return. Consider the stars. Their birth, their fire, their collapse, each step is guided by particles that were once born from the vacuum. When stars explode in supernovae, they scatter elements across galaxies. Those elements gather in clouds, in planets, in people. But all of it, every shining point, every orbit, every living cell comes from the silence that flickered first. The vacuum is the mother of stars, of planets, of oceans and minds. It is the beginning beneath all beginnings. There is comfort in this. To know that silence gives birth to form is to know that we are never truly alone. Even in our quietest moments, the vacuum sings. Even when we feel empty, we are full. Full of possibility, full of unseen connections, full of the same energy that makes galaxies spin and photons shine. The silence within you is not absence, it is the space where new stories are waiting to unfold. In the future, perhaps we will come to understand the vacuum even more deeply. New experiments will peel back layers of its quiet, revealing more of its subtle truths. We may learn how to shape it, how to speak its language, how to dance more fully with the particles it births. But even now, without perfect knowledge, we can feel its presence. We can marvel at its patience. We can rest in its embrace. Because every thought you have, every word spoken, every act of kindness is carried by the particles that once rose silently from nothing. So let us close our eyes now and imagine the vacuum not as a void, but as a vast, soft field of potential. Let us feel the gentle breath of its presence around us. Let us listen for the song beneath the silence. For in every pause, in every breath, in every stillness, particles are born. Light is waiting, matter is stirring, and within the calm, creation begins again. The particles born from silence are not a mystery to be solved, but a miracle to be felt. They are the touch of the infinite upon the finite. They are the voice of the universe when it whispers instead of shouts. They are the gentle reminder that what we call nothing is the most generous something of all. And in this there is peace. In this there is beauty. In this there is everything. Beneath what we once called nothing, there is a sea vast, restless, and endlessly deep. It is not made of water, nor of air, nor of any substance our hands can hold, but it is real. It is a sea of quantum fields, invisible and infinite, layered beneath the stillness of space. It is not a metaphor, though it feels like poetry. The more we look into the heart of emptiness, the more we find movement, rhythm, and quiet creation. This is the sea beneath nothingness, the place from which particles rise, where energy ripples, and where the foundations of existence are in constant motion. Long ago, we imagined space as a container, a vast black bowl holding stars and dust. Remove the stars and space remained. Remove the air and space remained. But what is space itself made of? When stripped of all contents, all matter and light, is there truly nothing left? Quantum physics gently says no. There is always something. Even in the absence of particles, even in the absence of heat or light, there remains a structure, an underlying ocean of fields. Each type of particle has its own field, and these fields extend across all of space. They do not disappear, they do not rest, they vibrate softly, always on the edge of becoming. These vibrations are the cause of everything. When energy touches one of these fields in just the right way, a ripple forms, a particle is born. An electron is not a thing apart from its field. It is a moment of the field itself, rising like a wave on a vast and endless ocean. All matter is this, all form is this. There are no building blocks, only excitations. There are no separate things, only vibrations rising briefly from unity. The sea beneath nothingness is not an absence. It is the one great presence, upon which the world floats like a boat on unseen waves. And yet this sea cannot be seen directly. It is too subtle, too smooth. It is like the wind on a quiet evening, felt but not seen, known by what it moves, not by what it is. Scientists detect its touch through effects, the shifts in atomic energy, the way light bends, the way two uncharged plates are drawn together. These are the signs of the sea beneath. Like footprints on wet sand, they show us where the invisible has passed. We know it is there, even though it hides. It is the hidden body of the universe, the unseen breath that animates all. Let us imagine for a moment that you are drifting through space, far from stars, far from planets. Where silence reigns and darkness stretches in all directions, you would expect to find nothing. And yet that silence is woven with energy. Pairs of particles rise and vanish. Fields vibrate softly like strings plucked without a player. The sea beneath you is alive. It holds the potential for all things. You cannot touch it, but it touches you. Your body, though seemingly solid, is composed entirely of these ripples, these fleeting waves. You are made from the sea, and you move through it every moment of your life. Even time itself is touched by this sea. The expansion of the universe, the slow stretch of space, may be driven by the energy that dwells in the vacuum. What appears to be nothing exerts pressure. It nudges galaxies apart, sending them drifting like leaves on a current. Cosmologists call it dark energy, but that name hides its poetry. It is the breath of the sea beneath nothingness exhaled across the universe. It tells us that what we cannot see still shapes our fate. The silence between stars is not silent. It sings of movement. It sings of creation. It sings of distance that grows ever wider, yet remains bound by the same invisible thread. Even more mysterious is the thought that this sea might not be uniform. Perhaps, like the ocean tides, it flows and shifts, deepening in some places, thinning in others. Some theories suggest that entire universes could rise as bubbles upon its surface, each with its own laws, its own time, its own song. Ours is only one such bubble, floating gently in the sea. And within our bubble, everything we know, every tree, every breath, every beam of light, traces its lineage back to the moment the vacuum trembled and gave rise to being. The sea beneath nothingness is not passive, it creates worlds. Let us not rush from this thought. Let it settle like snowfall, like soft rain on water. The sea beneath nothingness is not far away. It is not only in distant space or abstract equations, it is here. It is within every atom, beneath every thought. The warmth of your skin, the beat of your heart, the colors you see, they are all born from the fields beneath. When you speak, your words ride on vibrations of matter, and that matter is nothing more than the vacuum stirred to life. In this way, your voice is an echo of the sea. Your body is an echo of the sea. Your thoughts are waves upon waves, rising from stillness. And so the line between nothing and something becomes blurred. What we call matter is not separate from the vacuum, it is its expression. What we call energy is not other than emptiness, it is its song. To understand the sea beneath nothingness is to understand that the universe is not made of things but of patterns, not of objects but of waves, not of pieces but of flows. The world is a dance of the vacuum with itself, a constant folding and unfolding of silence into form. Some scientists speak of the zero-point energy of the vacuum, the lowest possible energy a field can have, even when stripped of all particles. It is not zero, it never reaches true stillness. There is always a hum, always a vibration. This hum is not random, it is structured, gentle, purposeful in its own quiet way. It is the signature of the sea, the proof that the cosmos is never asleep. Even in its deepest rest, it moves. Even in its deepest quiet, it sings. As we move through life, it is easy to forget this. We look for substance, for boundaries, for firm ground, but all the while we are moving through water. All the while we are floating on fields. The solidity we cling to is momentary. Beneath it flows something far more real, far more enduring. The sea does not end when the wave breaks. The vacuum does not disappear when particles dissolve. The foundation of the universe is not things, but the space that allows things to be, the silence beneath the note. The canvas beneath the paint, the sea beneath the sky. Let this awareness soften your steps, quiet your thoughts, deepen your breath. The sea beneath nothingness is holding you. It held the stars before they burned. It held the atoms before they were formed. It holds the space between your thoughts and the pause between your words. It is presence itself. It is being itself, and it is always here. To drift deeper into the sea beneath nothingness is to step beyond the language of surfaces and into the rhythm of unseen depths. This is not a place of objects or events, but of patterns, soft, fluid, never fixed. Each quantum field that weaves through the vacuum is not confined by boundaries. It stretches across the whole of space, as calm as a still pond and as infinite as the sky. These fields do not sleep. They pulse with low vibrations, even when the universe is at its quietest. What seems like stillness is merely motion too delicate to disturb the surface, and in that motion, all creation is born. At the heart of this sea, every particle is a rising wave. Photons, electrons, quarks, all the building blocks of matter, are not particles in the traditional sense. They are ripples, brief elevations in an ocean too wide to measure. When we detect them, we are not catching a thing, we are touching a moment in the field, a brief bloom of being, like watching a single drop rise from a wave before it sinks again. The particle exists for a moment, then returns to silence. This is the language of the vacuum. It speaks not in mass or shape, but in vibrations, and it speaks always. This understanding brings with it a kind of humility. We are not made of isolated pieces, but of rhythms. Our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, they are arrangements of the vacuum, vibrations sustained in patterns long enough to take form. The solidity we believe in is an illusion of stability. What we touch is a song momentarily paused, and even though we feel ourselves as distinct, we are not separate from the fields that surround us. The sea beneath nothingness flows through us too. We are not merely on it. We are of it. Now imagine space as a great silent instrument, stretched taut across the cosmos. Each note played upon it is a particle, each harmony a force. The fields are the strings, the vacuum the body of the instrument, and all of existence, galaxies, stars, lives, is the melody that emerges. This music is ancient and ongoing, and it does not begin or end with us, but within it we are notes. We are part of the symphony, and in our stillest moments, we can feel the vibration of that larger song. Scientists, in their delicate measurements and patient equations, have caught glimpses of this music. The Lamb shift, the anomalous magnetic moment of the electron, the Casimir effect, each is a footprint in the sand left by the sea beneath. These are not just numbers, they are echoes. They are the evidence that even in the coldest vacuum where all particles have been removed, energy still remains, the fields still stir. And that stirring has consequences. It changes how matter behaves, how light travels, how the universe evolves. This energy is sometimes called zero-point energy, the lowest possible energy state a system can have. But even this lowest is not zero. There is no true stillness. The fields, by their nature, cannot rest completely. They are bound by uncertainty, by quantum principles that prevent complete silence. There is always a tremble, a murmur. And that murmur becomes matter, becomes gravity, becomes galaxies. In this way, the quietest thing imaginable, the vacuum, is also the most creative. It is the root of all structure, the first whisper of all that is. But what if we could touch it? What if we could shape it? Some physicists and engineers wonder whether the energy of the vacuum might one day be harnessed, not as science fiction, but as gentle science made real. Could we draw from the sea beneath nothingness? Could we with quiet hands pull from silence the power to light our world? It remains uncertain, but the thought alone invites wonder. To tap the vacuum would not be to extract fuel from emptiness. It would be to converse with the very breath of creation, to turn to the silence and ask it to sing in a new key. And perhaps we already do in ways we do not yet understand. Life, too, emerges from silence. Consciousness, the great mystery of awareness, may be more than chemical reactions. It may be an echo of the fields themselves, a resonance between the vacuum and the brain, a dance of waves that briefly becomes thought. In this view, our minds are not disconnected from the sea. They are shaped by it, moved by it. We are not separate observers of the vacuum. We are its ripples, its reflections, its most delicate and fleeting expressions. The sea beneath nothingness also reminds us of the illusion of control. We think of ourselves as solid beings navigating a solid world, but beneath every table, every mountain, every star lies motion. Beneath every choice, every breath lies uncertainty. The world is made of probabilities, not certainties, and the sea flows in all directions. It allows for birth and decay, for light and shadow, for creation and dissolution. It holds opposites without conflict. It makes room for paradox. This is not chaos, it is peace. It is a balance so perfect, so vast, that it appears as silence. In this way, the vacuum becomes a teacher. It shows us how to be still and full, how to move without force, how to create without sound. It invites us to rest in possibility, to soften our grip on certainty, to accept that we do not stand apart from the universe, but within it as part of its unfolding. We are waves, not walls. We are rhythms, not rules. The sea does not resist its own waves, it carries them. And so too can we carry each other, each moment, each breath, as part of a greater current. And so we return not to an answer, but to a feeling. The sea beneath nothingness is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mystery to be embraced. It does not offer conclusions. It offers presence. It offers awareness to sit with. It is to sit with the deep rhythm of being. To walk with it is to walk gently, knowing the ground beneath your feet is woven from silence. To speak of it is to speak softly, knowing that every word is a wave rising from a field you cannot see. It is here beneath your thoughts. It is here around your body. It is here in the breath of stars and in the pause between heartbeats. It is not beyond reach, it is what you are. You are the sea stirred into momentary form. You are silence shaped into a name. And the sea continues even when you rest, even when you sleep, even when you dream. It carries you always. As we move toward the final drift of this story, let us carry the image of the sea beneath nothingness gently in our minds, like a soft lantern held in the dark. We have followed it through the fabric of reality, watched it ripple into particles, dance into forces, and cradle the motion of galaxies. And now in this last passage, we do not seek to explain more, but to feel more. To let the quiet truth of the vacuum settle into our bones, not as a fact, but as a presence. Not as knowledge, but as belonging. Because the sea beneath nothingness is not just a place where matter is born, it is the ground of being itself. In the stories of the universe, beginnings often appear as sudden flashes, big bangs, blazing stars, collisions of unimaginable force. But beneath every burst lies a silence. Beneath every event lies a stillness. The vacuum is that stillness, not inert but quietly alive. It holds the rhythm of potential. It does not push, yet all things emerge from it. When the universe began, it was the vacuum that trembled first. It was the sea beneath nothingness that rippled, that swelled, that gave form to the first waves of energy. And from those waves came time, came space, came matter, came us. To think of the cosmos in this way is to soften how we think of ourselves. We are not visitors upon a solid world. We are not strangers to the fields that underlie it. We are shaped from the vacuum's patient breath. The atoms in our skin are ripples in the sea. The warmth we feel is the energy of waves passing through us. And when we are still, when we stop to listen, there is something underneath thought, underneath sound, that reminds us we have always been part of something older, deeper, more eternal than any name. Some scientists have asked whether the vacuum remembers, whether it holds echoes of what has passed through it, like water that ripples after the swimmer is gone. Could it be that the sea beneath nothingness is not just a cradle but a memory? That every burst of light, every orbit of a planet, every whisper of breath leaves behind a trace? If so, then nothing is truly lost. The vacuum may be a library of becoming, a record written not in ink but in vibration, in the subtle arrangements of fields we cannot yet read. This idea is not proven, but it sings of possibility. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson of the vacuum, that there is always more to see, more to learn, more to feel. The vacuum, though empty of particles, is full of questions. Its silence is not the silence of the end, but of the beginning. A silence like the pause before the wave, the breath before the word, the night before the bloom. In its stillness, there is always a next thing waiting to rise. And just as new universes might form upon the sea, so too might new understandings. Already, scientists explore strange ideas of multiverses, of fields that flicker with information, of consciousness itself as a ripple in something deeper. These are not answers, they are invitations. The vacuum does not shout, it does not declare, it invites, it waits, it allows. It lets us enter slowly, quietly, with humility. And in return, it offers not only understanding, but wonder. Even in your quietest moments, when the world around you stills and thought grows soft, you are moving with the sea beneath nothingness. You may feel alone, but you are floating on the same fields that stretch across galaxies. Your breath, your heart, your presence, they are all rising from the same source that gives shape to light and gravity. You are not beside the sea, you are not above it, you are not separate, you are of it, a crest upon its wave, a brief light upon its surface. When you feel emptiness in your life, when things seem quiet beyond comfort, remember this story. Emptiness is never absence. Stillness is never without life. What looks like nothing may be the beginning of everything. The vacuum, invisible and silent, is the most generous source of all. It gives without asking. It supports without being seen. And in its arms, the universe is held like a child in sleep, rocked gently by waves that never stop flowing. Let us think again of the night sky, wide and full of stars. Between those stars stretches darkness. But that darkness is not void. It is the sea, silent and vast. Within it, particles flicker and fade, fields shimmer, the Mature weights already unfolding in the space between the stars. What you call nothing is the most sacred presence. It is the home of beginnings, the home of ends, the breath between heartbeats, the silence between words. It is the space where meaning is born. And when this universe grows old, when the stars burn out and time itself slows, the sea will remain, still humming, still stirring, still ready. Perhaps it will tremble again, perhaps it will ripple, and another universe will rise, not in noise but in silence, not in light but in motion too soft to see. And from that motion form, from that form life, from that life wonder again. The sea beneath nothingness is not a single story. It is the condition for all stories. It is not the answer. It is the invitation to ask. So we close this story not with an ending, but with a return to silence, to stillness, to the soft ocean that carries all things. Rest knowing you are part of that sea. You are not outside it, you are not apart from it, you are its wave, you are its whisper, and it holds you always. In the dark before light, there is a place where silence stretches wide and endless. It is not darkness in the way we know it, it is deeper than shadow, quieter than night. It is the place before light is born, the hush from which radiance rises. This is the void, and it is not cold, not empty. It is full of longing, and from that longing light emerges, not with noise but with grace. The light we see, the light that warms, that reveals, that gives life, is not only the shine of stars. It is a rising, a becoming, a song born gently from the fabric of nothing. And this story, like all stories in the universe, begins in silence. Long before stars burned in the heavens, long before atoms danced in clouds of gas, there was only the vacuum, restless, rippling, waiting. It seemed still, but it was. Within its quiet, fluctuations stirred, fields whispered to one another, energy bloomed briefly like breath turning to frost on the air. And in those fluctuations, light took form not all at once, but as a ripple, a wave, a presence rising softly from stillness. Photons, the particles of light, were not born from stars first. They were born from fields, from the tension in the vacuum, from the ceaseless motion of what we thought was still. To understand this is to change how we think of light. It is not merely what shines from lamps or glows in the sun. It is a ripple in the electromagnetic field, a gentle rise in the sea of silence. It carries no mass, it has no rest, it moves always, and yet it has no home. It belongs to motion, to space, to time, and yet it is older than stars. It is the first voice in the dark, the first thing that stretched across the void. Before galaxies formed, light was already there, dancing between the folds of a newborn universe. And light is not alone. It is one expression among many, one ripple in one field, but its presence changes everything. When it rises, it reveals. When it touches matter, it warms. When it moves, it carries time forward. It is both messenger and maker, and it never rests. Even now, across the emptiness between galaxies, ancient light travels endlessly. The cosmic microwave background, light left over from the earliest breath of the universe, still floats, still whispers, still tells us that from the void, something beautiful arose. Scientists can measure this ancient light. They have mapped it across the sky, a dim glow just 3 degrees above absolute zero, older than any star. And in its tiny temperature variations, we see the fingerprints of the beginning. Those ripples, those subtle changes, are the echoes of the vacuum trembling, giving birth to light and time and form. In this way, the void did not resist the rise of light. It cradled it, encouraged it, let it shine. And that light became the scaffolding of all we know. It warmed the first atoms. It carried information across space. It allowed the first structures to take shape. Imagine the universe as a great cathedral, vast and vaulted and echoing. The void is its foundation, but the light is its windows. Without it, there would be form, but no beauty. Without it, there would be shape, but no color. Light makes the invisible visible. It turns the silence of the vacuum into a symphony of form. It paints the outlines of the galaxies, the shadows of planets, the gleam in your eye. And yet, it remains a child of the void, a beam that remembers where it came from, carrying with it the quiet of its birth. Photons, though massless, hold momentum. They can push, they can carry energy across unimaginable distances, they can change the state of matter just by touching it. A single photon from the sun can strike a leaf and awaken the process of photosynthesis, turning light into sugar, light into life. And all of it, every green blade of grass, every bloom of coral, every spark in the mind of a waking child, owes its beginning to a light that rose from emptiness. As the void gave us more than space, it gave us the first flicker of becoming. Let us pause here, not in confusion, but in awe. Light is so familiar that we forget its mystery. We wake in its glow, we read by its shine, we are warmed and nourished by it. But beneath its brightness lies a quiet truth. It is not separate from the silence. It is born of it, inseparable from it. To look at light is to look at the voice of the void, the whisper of energy across space. It is the softest rebellion against darkness, not in anger, but in invitation. Light does not destroy the void. It completes it. It brings the unseen into view. And yet light, for all its clarity, remains subtle. It can bend. It can be slowed by water, bent by glass, scattered by clouds, and in these gentle interactions it reveals even more. A rainbow is not just beauty, it is physics singing. It is the path of light curving through raindrops, each droplet splitting the wave into color, into spectrum, into story. Light is information. It tells us where things are, what they've been. It is a carrier of memory, and it began in silence. When we say that we see, we mean that light has touched something and carried that touch to us. We are touched by it in turn. And still, light never stops moving. Unlike matter, it does not pause, it does not age. A photon created in the first seconds of the universe is still in motion, still singing across space. And because it has no rest, it has no time, not in the way we understand it. It is both ancient and young, both beginning and endless. In this, it mirrors the void itself, eternal, without center, without end, and yet full of motion, full of becoming. As we drift through this thought, let us look again at the light around us. The glow of a candle, the shimmer of the moon, the golden warmth of dawn. These are not ordinary things. They are evidence of the most extraordinary truth that from what we called nothing, something rose, and not just something beautiful, something that dances, something that makes life possible. The light rising from the void is not merely a physical phenomenon, it is a gesture. It is the universe turning toward itself and saying, "Let there be seeing, let there be warmth, let there be life." And so we carry that light in our bodies, in our minds, in the memories etched by photons onto the soft matter of the brain. We are not separate from the light, we are made from it, we are sustained by it, we are shaped by its endless ancient rise. And as we move forward deeper into this story, we hold this truth gently, that the void is not the opposite of light, it is its cradle, it is its mother, and from their union everything began. To journey deeper into the story of light is to walk hand in hand with the earliest breath of the universe. Long before there were galaxies, before stars carved patterns into the dark, light was already traveling, silent, tireless, pure. It did not begin with fire nor with flame, but with a gentle trembling in the vacuum. In the quiet heart of the early cosmos, the sea of quantum fields stirred, and from its undulations rose photons, the first children of motion. They came not from force, but from symmetry breaking. From the moment the balance of the fields leaned just enough to create direction, just enough to release radiance. That radiance is not metaphor, it is real. Light is not an object, but a messenger. It does not simply move, it carries, it brings information, it brings presence, it brings the shape of all things to our awareness. Without light, space would remain unseen, colorless, formless, but with light, form emerges, color awakens, shadows speak. And yet, for all its power, light remains weightless. It needs no mass to make itself known. It travels through the vacuum, unburdened, untouched by time in the way that matter is touched. It remembers the silence from which it came. And the silence never forgets. In the quantum vacuum, electromagnetic fields fluctuate even in the absence of light. The potential for light is always there, dormant but not dead, like a melody waiting to be played. When energy stirs these fields, light ripples into being. This means that light is not separate from the vacuum, it is its motion, its breath, its gift. The void is not dark in essence, it is light in waiting. And when the right conditions arise, light rises, always. One of the most beautiful truths in physics is that the speed of light is constant. No matter how fast you move, how distant you are, how vast the vacuum grows, light moves through it unchanged. This constancy defines the structure of space-time. It gives meaning to time, to distance, to cause and effect. It means that light does not just travel, it shapes the very path on which it moves. The universe curves around light's certainty, bends in obedience to its quiet law. In this way, light is not only seen, it is foundational. It is the silent rule from which reality unfolds. And yet light is not a single thing. It behaves as both particle and wave. It can be split, bent, scattered, yet also counted one photon at a time. This duality defies our ordinary understanding, and yet it is what allows light to be both sharp and soft, precise and poetic. It can cut with the accuracy of a laser and scatter gently across a sunset. It can encode the most delicate information in a fiber of glass and also flood the sky with color at dawn. It is gentle enough to trace the dust on your windowsill and powerful enough to burn through steel. And always it carries the mark of its origin, The vacuum, the silence, the beginning. Think for a moment of starlight. The light from a star 10,000 years away has traveled all that time without rest, crossing the expanding vacuum, slipping through fields unbent by time, unchanged by age. When it reaches your eyes, it is not only a sight, it is a message, a handshake across the abyss. It is a moment born in fire, carried by stillness, received in silence. And you, in seeing it, become part of its journey. You are its landing place. You are the conclusion to a voyage that began long before your body was born. This is the grace of light. It arrives with memory, and it remembers everything. Even now, across the span of the observable universe, light continues to pour outward, wrapping the cosmos in a luminous veil. Some of it is ancient, stretching from the first trillionths of a second after the Big Bang. Some of it is young, born in the fires of stars being born today. All of it flows through the vacuum across fields that never rest. And though we cannot see every beam, we feel its warmth. It strikes our skin. It feeds the leaves of trees. It helps the eyes of sleeping animals sense the coming day. Light does not ask to be seen. It simply moves. It simply gives. In the smallest moments, too, light plays its part. The photos in an old album, the shimmer of sunlight on a spoon, the flicker of a candle in a quiet room, each is a moment when the void gives rise to visibility. The photons that bounce from those surfaces enter your eyes, spark signals in your brain. They are ancient magic made new again. You do not need to understand the mathematics to feel it. Light is something we know without trying. We are drawn to it. We are soothed by it. We are made from it. And yet the more we study it, the stranger it becomes. It can be entangled, paired with another photon across vast distances, such that the fate of one affects the other instantly. It can be delayed in decision, choosing its path only after being observed, as if it waits for our curiosity before deciding how to behave. These are not tales from myth, they are results from experiments. Light behaves in ways that defy linear thought. It lives, in some sense, outside the rules we try to impose. It is not bound, it is not tame. It flows from a deeper logic, one that whispers rather than speaks. To be bathed in light is to be bathed in mystery. Not the mystery of confusion, but the mystery of connection. When light touches your face, it connects you to the stars. When it falls through leaves, it connects sky to soil. When it passes through water, it splits into colors that tell the story of waves. All this from something that carries no mass, no time, no rest. Something born of silence, sustained by stillness, shaped by motion too fine to see. The light we know is only the surface of a truth too deep to end. And even deeper, we begin to realize that light is not just what we see, it is what we are. The atoms in our bodies interact with light constantly. Our cells respond to it. Our cycles, our emotions, our very mood rise and fall with its presence. Life on Earth did not simply adapt to light, it was shaped by it. The rhythms of the day, the rise and fall of sleep, the unfolding of leaves and the blooming of flowers, all respond to the sun's silent song. We are dancers in the choreography of light. And its music began in the vacuum, long before we arrived. As we close this second part of the story, let us not rush past the quiet. Light did not roar into being. It rose. It did not conquer darkness. It flowed from it. It did not banish silence. It emerged from its embrace. Light is not the opposite of the void. It is its voice. And we as beings shaped by light are part of that voice. Every breath we take, every step we walk, every dream we dream is lit by photons that began their journey in a vacuum that trembled once and then sang. There is a moment just before sunrise when the sky begins to change, not with sound, not with movement, but with light. It creeps in softly, barely touching the edges of the dark, and yet everything begins to shift. That moment, that still breath of the world before brightness returns, holds within it the memory of a much older awakening. It is a quiet echo of the first time light ever rose, not just from behind a hill or beyond a planet, but from the void itself, that first. Light did not fall upon trees or skin. It fell upon silence, and in doing so, gave birth to the universe as we know it. Now, as we conclude this story, we return once more to that beginning, not as a place in time, but as a presence within all things. Light still rises from the void, not just once long ago, but always. The vacuum, restless and rippling, continues to hum. Its fields tremble in potential, and from them photons still leap into being. Some vanish again as quickly as they come, others travel forever. But all of them are part of the same act, the act of creation, of emergence, of becoming. Light is not finished, it is ongoing. It is the soft breath of the cosmos, rising without effort, moving without end. In your life, light is often unnoticed. It slips through windows, bounces from walls, rests on your shoulders. But each of these encounters is a reunion. The photons that find your skin may have been born in the heart of a star or may have been drifting through space since the dawn of time. They are ancient travelers, and when they touch you, they are home. You are their destination. They have crossed the vacuum, invisible and vast, carrying with them the memory of silence. In this way, you are not only seeing light. You are receiving it. You are completing its journey. Even in darkness, light is never far. In the deepest caves, in the densest forests, in the silence of sleep, the potential for light remains. It can be struck, ignited, released. And when it comes, it does not ask for permission. It does not hesitate. It appears, and in that appearance, it brings clarity. Light reveals, light warms, light heals, but it does not do so loudly. It does so patiently with no need to announce itself. It simply is, it simply gives. Consider how delicately light works in nature. A seed buried deep senses the warmth of sunlight and begins to rise. A bird wakes at the soft blue of early morning. A flower turns slowly toward the arc of the sun. None of these things are instructed. They are moved by something that carries no voice, no weight, no form, only energy, only motion, only light. And that light began in silence, from a vacuum that offered it freely, without noise, without pride. Creation does not always shout. Sometimes it glows. And we too are moved by light. The colors we love, the images we remember, the way we read the expressions of those we care for, all are shaped by light. It allows emotion to be seen, moments to be shared, beauty to be known. It writes our days from the amber of morning to the hush of dusk. And when we light a candle or open a curtain or turn our face to the sun, we are doing more than letting light in, we are letting the void speak. We are inviting the universe to be seen again and again. Even science, with its instruments and equations, listens for this voice. Telescopes catch photons from galaxies billions of years away. Spectrometers break light into its spectrum, revealing the fingerprints of elements. Every color, every shimmer, every shift tells a story, not of things alone, but of beginnings, of the fields that stirred, the waves that formed, the first bursts of energy that traveled freely through expanding space. The light we study today was born before there were eyes to see it. Yet it waited, and now it enters our world and tells us where we came from. Some say the universe will end in darkness, that as stars fade and galaxies drift apart, there will be no more light. But even in that imagined future, the vacuum will remain. Its fields will not disappear, and from those fields light may rise again. Perhaps differently, perhaps slowly, but still possible, because the silence never ends, and in that silence light is always near, not as a fire, but as a promise, not as an event, but as a presence, a readiness, a breath. There is a kind of peace in knowing this, that beneath all change, beneath all motion, there is something that gives without asking. The vacuum, the void, the space between things, it is not absence. It is the most generous presence. It holds the possibility of light in every inch, in every moment. And when the time is right, it lets that light go, not with force, not with noise, but with grace. And so, as you sit with this thought, feel the light around you, not just what you see, but what you are. Your body glows faintly in infrared. Your cells respond to photons. Your memories are made through the dance of electrons moved by light. You are not separate from this rising. You are part of it. You are a continuation of the glow that began in silence. You are the echo of light, moving still, shining in your own way. And in the quiet, when all else stills, remember this. Light does not need to be bright to be true. It does not need to be large to be lasting. Even a single photon carries the story of a universe. Even a gentle beam carries the power to change. And within each flicker there is the whole sky, within each glow T. Here is the whisper of the void, rising into brilliance. This is how light comes, not as a command, but as a gift, not as a shout, but as a song, not as something separate from the void, but as its answer, its offering, its voice. And when we see it, when we feel it, when we live in its presence, we are not just witnessing a phenomenon, we are witnessing the continuation of a sacred unfolding, begun in silence, continuing in radiance, and held forever in the sea from which all things rise. In the stillness where time softens and the edges of thought begin to blur, There is something that moves quietly through everything, unseen, ungraspable, but always there. It slips through atoms, flows beneath matter, sways with probability. This is the breath of quantum shadows, not shadows of darkness, but of uncertainty. Not shadows that block light, but shadows that cradle possibility. They do not fall on the world, they live within it. They are the soft veil between what is and what could be, the murmur between presence and absence. And though we cannot hold them, they hold us. Every motion, every thought, every existence unfolds in their embrace. To understand these shadows is to step into the strange light of quantum mechanics, where reality does not behave as we expect. Here, particles are not particles alone, they are waves too. Here, position and momentum are not fixed, but fluctuating as if the universe prefers questions to answers. An electron is not in one place until we look. A photon can take all paths until one is chosen. This is not illusion. It is the way the world moves when no one is watching, the quiet breath of possibility that exists before decision. The quantum world is not chaotic. It is simply subtle, gentle, deliberate. It flows like mist, not like stone. We once believed the universe to be made of solid pieces, tiny beads building the structure of matter. But now we know those beads are more like ripples. They do not sit in one place waiting to be found. They shimmer across space, spread like clouds, and collapse into form only when we observe them. This is called superposition, the gentle truth that things are not one thing or another until they are known. It is as though the world, in its quiet generosity, waits for us to ask before answering. Until then, it remains open, full of maybes, breathing softly in its uncertainty. These quantum shadows are not errors. They are not gaps in our knowledge. They are the fabric of the real. When an atom emits light, it does not simply do so because it must. It does so in response to the rhythm of fields, to the dance of probability. When particles appear in pairs, entangled and distant, their fates remain tied across space, responding to one another in perfect synchrony. It is as if the universe remembers itself in every part. It is as if space cannot divide what the quantum world has joined. These are not poetic dreams. These are measured facts, strange but steady. The shadows breathe, and through them, the world becomes. Imagine for a moment the air between your fingers, empty perhaps to your eyes, but within it particles flicker, spin, vanish, reappear. Fields ripple, information hums, and in that space entangled particles could exist, sharing their state with a partner across the room or across the stars. This entanglement is not a thread, not a signal, not a sound. It is a presence, a knowing between things. It is what Einstein once called spooky action at a distance, but it is not magic. It is memory, a memory written into the shadows of the quantum field, where one particle cannot forget the other, even in silence, even in light years of space. These shadows also breathe inside us. In our neurons, electrons move. In our senses, photons are absorbed. Every time a signal passes, it passes through uncertainty. Your thoughts are built upon the rise and fall of ions, which follow the quiet laws of the quantum world. You are not separate from this. Your choices, your feelings, your very sense of self, all are carried on the breath of quantum fields. You are a ripple in them. You are shaped by their rhythms. And though your form is large and your mind filled with meaning, the shadows still live in you, softly, invisibly, like a current beneath calm water. Let us drift now into the double-slit experiment, the soft doorway into this quantum mystery. When light, or even a single electron, is sent toward two slits, it does not choose one path. It explores all paths, overlapping with itself, forming patterns as though it were many, not one. Only when we look, when we measure, does it choose. The interference vanishes. The pattern collapses. The wave becomes a particle. The breath becomes a step. This is the heart of quantum shadows. They are not the absence of knowing. They are the presence of possibility. They are the hush before a word, the pause before a note. In this world, cause and effect are no longer straight lines. They are webs, they are probabilities gently guiding outcomes without fixing them. The future is not written in stone, but in sand, always shifting. The breath of quantum shadows means that the world is not rigid, it is soft, it bends, it listens. It responds. Even time itself at these scales becomes blurred. Particles can move forward and backward. Events can occur in loops, in layers. The arrow of time, so firm in our everyday lives, curls and twists in this hidden realm. And the vacuum, the great sea beneath nothingness, is the canvas upon which these shadows breathe. The quantum fields that ripple through it are never still. Their fluctuations give rise to particles, to forces, to the breath itself. Every uncertainty, every flicker of energy, every whisper of entanglement is emotion in these fields. The shadows do not float on nothing. They are born of everything, the everything we cannot see but which shapes all that we can. The vacuum is their womb, and the breath is their life. It may seem strange to think of the universe as uncertain, as always shifting, as not yet decided. But in this uncertainty there is beauty, there is freedom, there is room for change, for emergence, for wonder. The quantum world is not a place of chaos, it is a place of becoming. The shadows do not hide, they hold, they nurture, they allow, and from their breath, new realities arise. When you look at the world around you, at the trees, the sky, the faces you love, you are seeing only the surface. Beneath that surface, quantum shadows stir. Beneath every form, there is formlessness. Beneath every certainty, a field of maybes. This does not weaken reality, it deepens it. It reminds us that life is not made of rigid pieces, but of dancing waves, and that we too are waves, momentary, beautiful, always becoming. So let us walk gently with this knowledge. Let us breathe with the shadows. Let us remember that behind every solid wall is a field of uncertainty, humming softly, lovingly. The breath of quantum shadows is not loud, it is not forceful, but it is real. It moves through all things. It allows the universe to speak in whispers, to grow, to change, to love. To sit beside the breath of quantum shadows is to become still enough to feel the subtle patterns of reality beneath your feet. Not the sturdy stones, not the weight of ground, but the shifting, shimmering foundation upon which even the hardest things rest. The shadows are not a mystery to be solved, but a presence to be felt. They move not with the certainty of a ticking clock, but with the softness of questions that never need answering. They are not absence, but possibility. They are the delicate, quiet freedom that gives the universe room to grow. In the ordinary world, we see decisions, outcomes, states that are clear and fixed. But beneath them, in the quantum world, things remain open, gentle suppositions, entangled fates, delayed choices. This is not confusion, it is creativity. It is the universe allowing itself to explore before settling. Just as an artist may sketch many lines before finding the right one, the world too moves through possibilities before choosing a path, and sometimes it does not choose at all. Sometimes it holds all the paths at once, letting them ripple through one another, entangled and unresolved, until we ask, until we measure, until we look. This act of looking, of observing, is not passive. In the quantum world, to observe is to participate. Measurement is not just the act of gathering information, it is the act of creating outcome. Before you looked, the particle was not here or there, it was both, and your question, your gaze made it choose. This is the breath of quantum shadows. It waits for the moment of attention and only then becomes what it will be. It is as though the universe, in its deepest places, prefers to be asked before it reveals. It prefers wonder to certainty, curiosity to command. Entanglement, too, continues this quiet song. When two particles become entangled, their properties are joined, no matter the space between them. A change in one immediately affects the other, not through space, not through time, but through the connection itself. It is not that one sends a message to the other. It is that they are not two, not really. They are one, split in form but united in memory. And this memory does not fade. Even if the particles are pulled apart by galaxies, their link remains. The breath of quantum shadows carries that memory. It whispers across distance, ignoring the boundaries we think are real. We too are made of such connections, not only our atoms but our stories. The way we love, the way we remember, the way we grieve, all are entanglements across time and space. And perhaps in ways still hidden to us, they are more than metaphor. Perhaps deep within the quantum fields of our minds and hearts, real entanglement remains, quiet bonds that cannot be broken because they were never really divided. Perhaps this is why we sometimes feel each other across distances, why a thought or a dream brings a face to mind, why silence between two people can still feel full. In quantum theory, there is a concept called decoherence, the process by which quantum possibilities become classical outcomes. It is how the breath of shadows gives way to the steps of form. When a particle interacts with its environment, its quantum state collapses into something measurable. But that collapse is not a failure. It is a translation. It is how the language of maybes becomes the language of matter. It is how silence becomes speech. The world you live in, the world of tables and time and tides, is born from this breath turning into form. But the breath never ends. Beneath the form, it still flows. This flow touches everything. Even the vacuum, that seeming emptiness, is alive with quantum shadows. Its fields fluctuate with possibility. Virtual particles flicker in and out, unmeasured, unseen. They are the breath continuing. They are the universe keeping its options open, even in stillness. And when the conditions are right, those possibilities become presence. A photon is born, a force emerges, a spark crosses from potential to being, and we witness it as light, as matter, as heat. But what we are really seeing is the breath exhaling, the shadow stepping softly into form. Now think of time not as a straight line, but as a cloud. In the quantum world, time itself can shimmer. Particles can travel paths that loop, that branch, that return to beginnings. The breath of quantum shadows allows time to stretch and bend. In some interpretations, the future can influence the present. In others, the past is not fixed until it is remembered. And all the while, the shadows continue to breathe, indifferent to our clocks, to our calendars, to our need for sequence. They are not bound by our sense of order. They are older than it, freer than it. In our everyday world, we need structure. We need cause to lead to effect, step to follow step. But when we look more closely, we find that these structures rest upon uncertainty. The arrow of time flies only because the breath of shadows allows the bow to bend. Reality unfolds not like a machine, but like a dream, soft-edged, suggestive, shaped by attention. The universe is not a script, but an improvisation, and the shadows are the spaces between the notes, the pauses that give music its meaning. To live in awareness of this is to live more gently. To know that the world is made of maybes is not to despair, it is to delight. It is to realize that nothing is ever entirely fixed. That change is always possible. That newness is always near. In the breath of quantum shadows, the universe is always becoming, always choosing, always free. And perhaps in our deepest stillness, we can feel this breath in ourselves. When we pause between thoughts, when we rest between words, when we sit quietly without needing answers, we are there. We are inside the breath, not as observers, but as part of it, as ripples in the same field, as moments in the same unfolding. The quantum shadows do not whisper to us, they whisper as us. They are not separate from life, they are life. They are not beneath awareness, they are its ground. And the breath that moves through them is the same breath that moves through galaxies, through grass, through you. It is soft, it is slow, it is sacred, and it is always here. To rest in the breath of quantum shadows is to let go of sharp boundaries and fixed beliefs. It is to float, not to fall. It is to understand the world not as a map of certainties, but as a garden of unfolding. As we come to the final chapter of this story, we find ourselves not at an end, but in a circle, a gentle return to the beginning where silence held potential and shadows whispered the first shape of being. Now we carry with us the knowledge that those whispers never stopped. They move through every atom, every star, every thought. They are with us now in this very breath. In the world of quantum shadows, endings are illusions. A particle's path can loop, reverse, fork into many futures. An electron's spin may be undefined until we ask. And even when we ask, we do not destroy the mystery, we become part of it. The observer and the observed are not separate, they are in dialogue. They meet at the edge of knowing and something new is born. That moment, quiet and brief, is the breath again. It is creation through attention. It is the world answering softly to the question of our presence. Perhaps this is what reality truly is, not a fixed stage but a conversation, a shared breath between the universe and its witnesses. We are not standing outside of existence, measuring it like cold observers. We are inside it, woven into the fabric, singing with the same song that makes particles appear and waves collapse. The breath of quantum shadows is not apart from you. It is inside your every choice, your every pause, your every wondering. It listens when why. Oh, listen, it responds not to force, but to attention. And what does this mean for life, for the way we walk, the way we love, the way we choose? It means we are never entirely fixed. It means the future is not locked. The breath of quantum shadows offers us the gift of flexibility, not chaos, not confusion, but freedom, soft, quiet freedom, the kind that doesn't rush, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that waits like a held breath for the gentle release of possibility. The smallest gestures ripple outward in this world. A single decision, a thought, a question, they echo through the quantum fields. We may not always see the ripples, we may not always understand their path, but the shadows remember. The universe keeps track, not like a ledger, but like a song remembers its notes. Every act of kindness, every moment of stillness, every pause before choosing, these are the steps we take in rhythm with the breath. The world is not indifferent, it is deeply, profoundly responsive. Even memory itself may be shaped by this breath. Some theories suggest that the brain, too, is a quantum system. That thought may not be only chemistry, but entanglement. That memory may be the echo of suppositions long collapsed. That feeling, that intuition, that sudden insight may arise not from calculation, but from coherence, fields aligning in harmony, like instruments tuning before a concert. In this view, we are not just thinking beings. We are quantum beings, conscious through uncertainty, alive through possibility. Look around you now wherever you are. Light touches surfaces, shadows stretch and fade. Atoms shift quietly beneath your gaze. The fabric of reality breathes softly and visibly. Beneath the appearance of stillness, everything is trembling just slightly, just enough to matter. The ground beneath your feet, the air in your lungs, the pulse behind your thoughts, it is all moving with the breath of quantum fields. You are not held in place by certainty. You are floating in meaning. You are alive in mystery. This does not mean we are without direction. It means we are gifted with choice. It means we are allowed to step gently, knowing that nothing is final and nothing is truly lost. The shadows that breathe through the vacuum do not erase, they transform. When particles vanish, their energy remains. When stars collapse, their memory becomes light. When moments pass, they ripple forward in ways we cannot yet see. The breath of quantum shadows is not the end of knowing. It is the beginning of understanding that knowing itself is part of the dance. And when we close our eyes, when we sleep, when we dream, we return in some small way to that breath. Our thoughts scatter, our minds quiet, and in that quiet, perhaps, we drift back into the soft hum of uncertainty, back into the sea where everything waits to be chosen. Dreams rise like waves from the breath. They do not ask for reason. They do not need proof. They simply are, like particles before measurement, like fields before disturbance, like light before form. They remind us that we belong to something older than language, something softer than logic. So what is the breath of quantum shadows truly? It is the reminder that beneath the solid lies the shifting. Beneath the answer lies the question. Beneath the scene lies the possible. It is the space between thoughts, the stillness before action, the shimmering edge where being meets becoming, and it is here always, in every second, in every silence, in every sigh. As this story closes, know that it does not leave you. It becomes part of you, not as fact but as feeling, not as science alone but as song. The breath of quantum shadows continues long after these words fall silent. It moves with you, through you, within you. You are not outside of it, you are made of it. You are the breath shaped into form. You are the shadow warmed into light. You are the question alive in the space where the answer has not yet been given. Let your life then be a gentle unfolding. Let your steps be soft, let your thoughts be spacious, let your love be open-ended, and in your quietest moments when the world grows still, listen. You may hear it, the hush, the breath, the soft rhythm of what cannot be seen but which carries everything. The quantum shadows are breathing, and so are you.